Well, good afternoon, everybody. I must say that I was a bit puzzled why they wanted somebody from Alabama to come over here and talk about making cotton, because we're not blessed with the soil that y'all have. Most of you wouldn't let your dog sleep on when I'm having a farm here. If anything, if you wanted something to talk about, we might could talk to you about playing football, which is something we tend to do fairly well right now. But but you don't need lessons from somebody from Alabama how to grow cotton. But you know, we looked at no-till. We're long-term no-till, 20 years of no plow being in the field. You know, and that's one of those things that we go from virtually no topsoil and rocks to we have some good river bottom soil and it no-till, and then now the skip row cotton production, which is 2 and 1/30-inch cotton, is something that's allowing us to be profitable in the cotton business. It's allowing us to our yields to excel, and you know, it's something that's worked really well for us. And I'm very fortunate to have two of my mentors in the room right here, Neil Isbell and his son Shane, that pioneered this long before I did. Of course, skip row is nothing new. Of course, most of you knew it when we had allotments and you were doing that, you know, to plant more cotton on ground or whatever. We're doing it strictly to make better use of water. You know, on our irrigated cotton, we eliminated boll rot. It offers a multitude of issues, not to mention where we're saving on the technology that George, you were alluding to. You know, we cut back, and I'm planting 28,000 seeds to the acre. I plant 2 seed to the foot. I didn't cut anything back, which is different than what Neil and Shane do. They allowed for a little more, but I had to adjust my practices in doing so, because you can't push yourself into planting in hazardous conditions, because there is no room for failure. You start losing like that, you know, and then you start having losses that are not able to overcome. But skip row has allowed us to do a lot of things along with the no-till that are making us profitable. As you were saying, we have multiple soil types, you know, and it fits a lot of those. We always knew, we felt like that skip row would allow us to fit in the dry land environment like it did in Texas. What we were concerned about was top end yields, as to whether we could maintain that. You know, we could really excel at those, and it did, and did much more. We made our first full bale cotton with Phytogen 444 with it. You know, it was a perfect fit. We've made some tremendous yields with it.
Are you talking solid or skip when you talk yield and seed rate?
I'm talking we would have been 38,000 planted solid, so it's actually 28,000. But if you're considering solid, it would have been 38,000. It's 2 seeds to the foot is what it is. But you know, the top end potential, we have to judge our varieties in a much different way, because going from solid 30-inch cotton and needing stovepipe cotton to needing something that's bushy, that's going to branch out, you know, and we want something. I don't want it to get real big, but I want it to get where I can walk through it and feel those bolls brushing my legs. You know, that's what we're looking for. So it offers a lot of things. It fits a wide variety of environments, and I know I visited with Dustin in Louisiana, and he's had good luck with it. And we feel like that it's one of the easiest way to save money that you can do to keep you profitable in the cotton business, and it's really been a big benefit to us. So I'll go through and which one do you hit, Virginia?
To the right.
Right.
Mr. George, he's talking about length per total acre.
Per field acre.
Right.
Not flat acre.
That's right. This is total. I mean, if you figured it on we don't figure it in terms of planted acres. We figure land acres all the way there. But one of the first things that we do that's very important to what we're doing is fertility, and that's chicken litter. Now, we're fortunate where we are. We try to use chicken litter everywhere that we can. Chicken litter, we think, is complete fertilizer. It has things that you can't buy. And you can take poor land like we're farming and you can turn it into productive farmland. Now, on soils like yours, as I discussed with Dustin, I mean, it still offers benefits, but what it does for us, and at the price that we can get it, $26 to $30 a ton spread depending on distance, you know, we put out 2.5 tons of chicken litter, and then we'll come back, and I'll show in a later slide that we side dress, and we put about 40 units of nitrogen 28005 injected in between the 2 rows as we're going along, and that's our complete fertility program. And that'll get you full bales of cotton to the acre if you get the right environment to go with it. So, you know, putting the nitrogen where it needs to be in between those 2 rows, and then maintaining your fertility with the chicken litter is an important component of what we're trying to do. Another thing that we're doing with our no-till in our thin soils is we're incorporating the use of cover crops. Now, due to the way that the falls are and the way things go, it's extremely impossible to get those in a timely fashion. And what you see here is 40 pounds of Abruzzi rye, 4 pounds of tillage radishes, and 5 pounds of crimson clover. These were planted behind soybeans. This end of this field that you see is drip irrigated, and the other end has got a center pivot on it. These were planted September the 8th, I believe it was, just prior to Hurricane Irma coming through. And this was taken about a week ago, this picture was. And as you can see, the radishes and the rye have taken very good root here. The clover, as a discussion that Neil and Shane and I had there, you're going to need about 10 pounds to really get any good growth out of that because it's being smothered out by that. But this was just spread right on top of the ground. There was no incorporation. The rain from the hurricane put it all in. So, you know, we don't do this all the way, but we do it on a limited basis, and we're doing this with our thinner soils that we rotate this around along with our crop rotation to allow us to keep our soils healthy. We farm about 3,000 acres, which is about half cotton and half grain. Some years a little more. We grow cotton, corn, peanuts, soybeans, and wheat. And the cover crops are an integral part of what we're trying to do. These are cover crops the previous year that the tillage radishes did not die. They were planted late. It was so dry in the fall of 2016 that we came in and we took a turbo till and incorporated these underground where it was just skating along, and they lived through the complete winter, and they came through and they overseeded, which is not what you want to do with tillage radishes. That's right, Neil, it's a definite no here, because we fought tillage radishes all year. They're not as bad as a pigweed or a mare's tail, but they're pretty close. They come up all year long. But what they do offer is when they do, as you can see, these are the radishes that were planted this year. Some of these have got to 6 inches in diameter, and the roots go down 2 foot or more, you know. So what it does for us on our thinner soils where we're irrigating, and on our other soils too, it makes the water much more permeable. It allows for everything to soak in and makes your water much more efficient. And these radishes, well, I didn't show it, but in another slide that I was going to put in, I didn't. But through the cold weather we had last week, they're still not dead. It did not kill them. They still had a green bud in there, which Tyler Sandlin with the Extension Service, we're all amazed by that. We thought they would be, you know, they would swell up and bust open because of the water that they had them. And as of this point, they're still sitting there. But, you know, if they're still growing, that means they're still putting roots down. And so we're hoping to get it where we're getting water to permeate down in the soil. What we do on our farm is, this is a field of soybeans that we're burning down. Unlike y'all, we plant flat. We'll come in and we'll burn down about 3 weeks prior to planting with a mixture of glyphosate, a Valor or something along those lines, and a dicamba product we had in the past. And then in 21 days we'll come back at planting and we'll plant and we'll put out a quart of Cotoran, and depending on what's there, if we put out another application of glyphosate. And at planting, we plant flat. We plant, we have row cleaners and coulters on our planter. We spray, we plant, and then come along, and here is hit the button again.
Try the middle one and see if it works. It might.
It won't do
It's
it.
supposed to be video.
No, it's everything.
There we go.
There we go. When we come back in side dress, we drive coulter rigs through the field, and as I described, we take a coulter and we just inject in between those 2 rows. So when we apply that nitrogen, it's not going in those skips so that we're having issues growing weeds. We're trying to grow cotton. It's all right there. And as we do that, you can see the old cotton stalks we plant with GPS. We don't have RTK because we don't have line of sight. We're not that fortunate to do that. We use SF3 signal from John Deere, which allows us plus or minus 1.5 inches and allows us to do this.
So what row space?
It's 30-inch rows, and we skip every 3rd row. 2 planted and 1 out.
And where do you plant? Looks like you're offsetting from last year.
That is correct.
How much you offset?
Because when we changed, we were only on SF1 signal
Right.
the previous year, and when we went to SF3 signal, there was that much variation.
Okay.
SF3 is only a 9-month repeatable signal still, so there still could be some variation. But what we notice in planting flat, unlike where y'all do with beds, that's really not an issue with us. We just fall in and we'll plant wherever it goes, and if we need to change row patterns, we can do so at that moment still with no problem. Oh, there it went, the video. This is a picture of cotton growing. As it begins to grow, you can still see the residue, and you don't see the up and down as you would, if you were planting. Most people think you've got to plant dead on the row to keep that with compaction and so forth, but with the use of these cover crops and rotation, we're doing that and we're not having issues. And one of the drawbacks of chicken litter is no better than the man that spreads it. Now you get somebody that doesn't know what they're doing with chicken litter, now you got problems, because everybody's seen wheat that's streaked up or whatever. Well, it's the same thing with the cotton crop, and you got problems getting it to mature. So when we do that side dress with the 40 units, on top of having a good spreader, we're coming up and getting cotton to look like this, and it's clean, So after we do our first post-direct, we'll come back with our first post-direct, and we put out an application of glyphosate and an application of generic dual. And at that time, we're hoping to get a rain to activate that and overlapping our residuals, to prevent weeds, resistant weeds. We have mare's tail as our main problem. We have some palmer, but it's not a serious issue. It's not one of our major problems, but due to the fact that everyone around us has seen those problems, we've been very proactive of preventing those problems. And as you can see, this cotton, it grows lush, and with in good lush cotton like that, you would expect boll rot, which was our main problem with 30-inch rows, but we're still getting air infiltrating the canopy, and that's one of the main things, with that, letting that cotton being able to branch out, we feel like that's where we're gaining some of our yield. Moving on to harvest there, this cotton picked 1,800 pounds right here. This is dryland cotton. It's a one-trip defoliation. We're able to infiltrate with blowing water down in the canopy to defoliate it, and we can get it open in one pass. We're saving in that area also there. And when you get to the cotton picker, this is a picture here that we're gaining efficiency with the cotton picker, because unlike Dustin, the way he picks, I pick with 2 units, a skip, 2, a skip, and another one. We're gaining about 20% efficiency with the cotton picker, is where a good bit of the savings comes in. So and every time you make a pass, you're picking up another row there. It's like picking 9 30-inch rows or 7 wide rows. So that's a big savings when you're running a $700,000 machine. You want that thing moving, and every pass it gets, you're catching another one. So we feel comfortable, and with Neil and Shane, they've said 2,000 acres per picker picking like this. We're pretty comfortable doing that if we get a reasonable start with it.
You met Jimmy Harvard?
I have not. Fortunately, I had Neil and Shane and Sam Spruill that guided me along in his path there.
They know Jimmy.
They were quick to correct me with that. Another picture of the cotton. It actually grows together, and it's hard to see the skips and all. Another thing that we use on our sprayers, we don't run fenders on them because we straddle 2 rows, and we have minimal crop injury. And then we straddle 3 30-inch rows when we're doing that. So it allows for a less than qualified operator that can continue to spray cotton without having an issue, due to, we have rolling terrain, terraces, you name it, and we got it, horseshoe terraces that come back around to themselves. We got everything you can think of. And this is a budget that you can't see that Auburn University puts out. It's their enterprise budget, much like Mississippi State or your other land grant universities. But what it demonstrates is, if it comes down to it, you can't read it, but we're saving about $70 an acre on top of fixed costs. That these things in today's climate of lower prices, hopefully improving as they are, we're able to do these things and keep us profitable. And the name of the game is making money, and if we can't make money, then you can't keep growing cotton. So we've been in the cotton business. The farm we live on has been in our family since 1842, and for over 100 years there's been a cotton gin on it. And we grow other crops, but we grow grain crops to make us better cotton farmers, because that's what pays the bills. And as of yet, that's what we're sticking with, and we feel like this is just one avenue that works for us. So any questions?
that $70 is coming from the seed and the picker efficiency.
The seed, the picker, crop insurance is 33% less. Boll weevil expense, anything that's based upon land acre cost, you can cut it by 33%. With the exception of herbicides, you know, that you apply to the land there.
So do you get more barking?
Sir,
Do you get more barking?
the only bark that I had this time was 1646 that laid down, that got too big, where the hurricane laid it down. I had a few bark remarks, but not to speak of, no. You know, being aggressive with PICS management on some varieties is necessary, and there again, you have to reevaluate how you judge varieties, which is different. For Neil and Shane, they don't grow full season varieties like they do. 333, 312 have been some of their better varieties that I grow a mid to a full season variety, and you know, you just have to react different to those things.
Is anybody out there doing that on 38 inch?
I have seen one field that was done on 36,
Yeah.
and it looked really good, you know, and tremendous, but it was only done on an isolated effort. So you know, they didn't try it again, but I see no reason why it wouldn't work, because, you know, it's filling these skips out. I think it would be, I think there's no reason why it shouldn't work.
So do most years those skips fill in?
They do fill in.
That's it.
You know, that was the problem. The first, we made full bale cotton 2 years in a row, and Charlie Burmester that works with Phytogen came out. He was concerned we weren't going to get it open because it had filled the skips in, you know, and it was just a tangled up mess, but it just, we didn't know what we had. We knew we had something special there, but it just, you know, we had to wait, you know, and we got it open, but it was a pain to defoliate, and it was hard to pick but it had such a bowl load on it. It was tremendous that it mangled, and part of that was due to our management that was our first experience with that, not knowing that we needed to jump on it and we needed to hold it down. You know,
Start picks earlier.
that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, the PICS management should have been done earlier.
What varieties go more horizontal? You know, there's some varieties are more tend to be linear.
That's correct.
So
You know, and that's one thing. If you're on straight 30-inch rows, 333 Phytogen was an excellent variety because it was more of a columnar type plant. Where we're looking for something that's more of a Christmas tree bushy type plant that you want to grow up, and we want to stop it, and we want it to bush out. You know, ideally, I don't want it any higher than waist high.
Variety trial, George. We just plant variety trial. Which one work, just like you do.
So which ones do you see right now?
That are good varieties?
Yeah, for skip.
For skip growth? Well, Shane said, it is, 444 was our main choice, and the reason that we had to leave that was because that we needed the dicamba package, because we had problems with mare's tails coming up in the year. But in talking with folks, Chris, in the back here, we've got 430 and possibly 440 that's a replacement for that. But 1646, 1725, and hopefully this 430 and 440 will be a good one. But 444 was made for skip row cotton. I mean, that's...
You ever run a PICS row bar to try to keep the top down?
No.
We used to. I had since we went to skip row.
I didn't think y'all were skip row.
Dig, something else your APHs over a long period of time, insurance counts actual acres of planted cotton.
That's correct.
And that's the yields they take. So you take a 4-bale yield and up it 33%, you've run a yield up where they're gonna question it.
That's right, and we have been kicked out for that. At FSA, you know, they came in because they only count what we plant. So when we come in, if I got cotton that's picking 1,800 pounds, and they figure 33% on that, then they start calling, asking questions, won't know we're moving modules or what's happening here. You know, it just, you know, when they start questioning my question to me, now that's problems. Of course, it was whatever.
How much pigs did you put out?
64 ounces on the average.
Let's see.
Right, depending on variety. Some can be more, some can be less. The 444 required more, as we found from one year to the other. Even behind cotton, you know, you won't need as much, but behind wheat and soybeans or behind peanuts now, it's going to take more. You know, where you've got some residual nitrogen there or nitrogen credits left, you know, you have to adjust for that, and knowing the variety and the soil that you're on, you know, we take those, make those decisions on a field by field basis.
So I was gonna ask that question, you said 40 units of N applied, so are you testing your
soil for nitrate carryover, but it also tests your chicken litter as well, as permanent total nitrate.
We check the nitrate, the chicken litter, and on average, it's a 50, 60, 50 per ton. And of that, they say to count 70% of that is readily available, but we only count about 60 to 65. And then depending on the prior crop, whether it was wheat and soybeans or corn, or which is new to us, peanuts, our first crop, we think we'll get a bigger nitrogen credit with that. We adjust accordingly. There again, that aids in variety planning and what you do. You know, we have to take everything into focus, because it's not as simple as just going out there and throwing them. Because when we go from the river bottoms to your up ground that's clay, you know, we have to make those decisions, and so that's part of our rotation program, and knowing what variety to place where it needs to be, and the nitrogen application.
So you shoot for around 90 units then, roughly?
It's a little over 100, we think. 120, you know, on irrigated is what we try to shoot for.
Nick, you have an advantage with litter on cotton. Lord knows when the litter's gonna turn the nitrogen loose, but in cotton, you've got that time period so long that it helps.
That's correct.
In corn production, litter's so erratic about turning the nitrogen loose, and corn is so close, and there where it needs it, it's hard, but cotton's real easy to handle litter on.
It is. We use litter across every crop. We broke 100 bushel soybeans this year for the first time ever in the state of Alabama, and we did it with chicken litter. Chicken litter is what made it happen, a lot of it, you know, but the nitrogen in chicken litter is so erratic in how it releases. You can put 4 ton of litter, you would think, on corn and could make really good corn, and you can fall flat on your face. You can't predict when it's going to happen on that basis. Now, you can allow yourself, you've got to put out some nitrogen with it or whatever. You can make it work, but you've just got to be careful. You can't depend on it when you've got to have it, especially with a corn crop that's determining yield when you need it there. Anybody else?
Yes.
All right, thank you.